Hey everybody, welcome back to D&J's Epic Quest. Got a bare bones episode for you today, but not in the typical fashion here. Got a couple friends joining me today. I've got Jan and Andres. Andres has a YouTube channel as well, so I'll let these guys introduce themselves and then we'll get going here. So I guess whoever wants to go first, take it away.
Jan, go ahead.
My name is Jan Godfrey. I live in Norway, and I just read a lot of fantasy books. Love fantasy. That's basically me.
Yeah. All right. My name is Andrés. I live in Uruguay. As as told, I have a channel. It's been mostly quiet as of late. I've been focusing more on my editing journey. I'm a line editor and a professional beta reader. So just like Jan said, I read a lot of fantasy.
Very cool. Well, that's that's basically how I met Jan, and I'm sure probably you too, just on Twitter and stuff, or X, whatever you want to call it. But um, yeah, it's been fun, and I'm excited to have you guys here. But today we're going to talk about the Queen of Scorn. Um, I'm assuming Andres, you probably finished this first. Did you finish it before it was released, or right after?
Uh, I read it like one day before it was released, something like that.
Okay.
I Chris sent me the book when I was just in the middle of a pro beta read that I had to finish, and just as I finished it, I devoured Queen of Scorn. It was brilliant. The way Chris manages pace and flow makes you turn page after page after page, and you don't really realize that it ended. It was so good, so fast that it was great in that sense.
Yeah, I agree. I finished this book yesterday, and I think Jan was you were I don't know a week, 10 days before that, somewhere in there. So, um, when I messaged Chris after I finished this book, and I told him the worst part about it was that it had to end, and I didn't want it to. But this book was probably for me it was my most anticipated book to read this year, or that would be released. I found Chris's books through Twitter. I don't remember, it's probably shortly after the first one came out, and I thought the cover was cool, and I read it, and I'm like, oh dang, this is kind of right up my alley, and so I've been along for the ride since. But um, yeah, uh, read the back of the book here for everybody here first. From ruin she rises, in scorn she reigns. Damien Dread fires, Warband staggers through blooded battle, a host of fractured clans bound by rage alone. Victory tastes like ash as oaths splinter and knives flash in the dark. Yet the warlord presses on, chasing whispers of gods and legends thought dead. With fire in his heart and madness in his soul, he dares the impossible, to defy the divine and carve his name among them. In the south, Prince Gareth Bethard drowns beneath grief and treachery, betrayed in love, hunted by conspirators, and burdened with a kingdom on the edge of collapse. He must rise from despair and don the mantle of king. On the plain hold, where the empires bleed and faith withers, Gareth must rise or watch Batanthia fall to dust. Hopefully I've got it in camera here. I can't see myself right now, but if you guys have not seen this cover, check it out. It is cool. All those covers are great. Any opening thoughts from you guys on the book?
Yeah, no, like you said, long anticipated. It's been a while since he published his last books, and I was really looking forward to the next one in line coming out. And I loved it.
I have to admit that it was not like a very anticipated book for me because I have like 400 series started, and when it came, it was kind of like great news, fantastic, and I celebrated it. But once I got into it, I did remember it was really up for being a great book, a great series to to get to again.
Yeah, I was very excited to dive back in, and um, I will say I think his writing has progressed a lot from the first two books, which I think is probably natural to some extent. You know, you've written two books, you've probably learned, you've got that experience, but it felt like a very big jump in the best way possible to the Queen of Scorn. Just the descriptions, the sentences, like there was a lot of really good lines in the book that I read them and I'm like, oh man, that one hit home, that type of thing. The things resonated with me quite a bit. And the one thing what I've really liked about this series as a whole is that it's a fantasy setting, but there hasn't been a lot of magic. There hasn't been a lot of uh, like mythical creatures, dragons, stuff like that, which I would be fine with too. But I kind of like this that it's been more of like a realistic, like medieval type thing. Um, but we took steps here into a more fantasy type setting. Um, we
Yes.
go to the mountain. Just a lot of the different things I enjoyed a lot. I don't know if you guys felt the same.
Yeah, no, I like that they were the slow introduction to the more mythical and mysterious aspects of the world. That it's not just right in your face from the start, but there's been hints of it in the earlier books, and it's coming. There's
Yes.
even more of it now, and it's building up to something larger, and that they are a larger, taking more active part in the story and in the world. So there's hinting at a lot of hidden secrets and lore
Yeah.
that we're starting to get glimpses of.
Yeah. Yes. Very, very much what I remarked in the notes we shared before we started filming, that now it's a full blown fantasy world with gods and high level magic and all of that. And that all of that was hinted throughout books one and two, uh, because of Madeline's powers and the history of her bloodline and all of that was showing us that it existed before. So it was more like dormant, and now it's risen again, and it's all on the forefront now of the story. And regarding the evolution of the writing from Chris, I did tell him, I think in chapter one or two, just as I finished, I told him, dude, your writing took a leap. Now it's much better, much crisper. The editing is much better. You can feel the progression in the quality of his writing. And Queen of Scorn it's really a big step up in that regard.
So I've talked to John Douglas a little bit on Twitter as well, and he told me that, and I guess I don't know if this is true for Queen of Scorn or if it was maybe just the first book or the first two. I'm not sure, not real clear on that. But he said that Chris didn't use an editor either.
That he told me the same. That is very, very surprising, very, very impressive, to say the least.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I would not be a good editor, but like I feel like it's pretty rare that a person can get away without one. I would think it does not happen often, but um, I would not know having read this. If I wasn't told, I wouldn't have known he didn't. Whether it was
I,
this book or maybe the first one, I'm not sure. But
I can tell, as I do some editing work, I do like editing. I know that people can do copy editing themselves because they live too near the world and too near the world book and their own books and their stories to do that. For Chris to be able to do that shows an incredible commitment to the craft of writing because you have to be able to take one or two steps back from what you wrote, from the world you you lived for so long, to be able to see clearly where you have to fix, what you have to cut, where you have to tighten more the prose and fix the flow and fix the pace of a dialogue of a chapter. If you have to move one or two chapters before or after, it's not simple for you to do that. And I think that shows in the time it took him to write Queen of Scorn. It was 2.5 years. So it shows the effort and the care he put into the book, and for real, it's an accomplishment on a
For sure.
technical level.
Also, as a writer, it's how to what's the term? Kill your darlings. You need to be told
Yeah.
by someone else that no, you can't have this, or this should be improved.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be hard, but I mean, he must be keeping an objective eye on it, and I'm sure he knows where he wants the story to go, and just getting there is the task at hand, right? And um, rewrites and self-editing and all that stuff. I'm sure all that comes into play.
And that's a big question, actually. Where is the story going? Because it starts out as like it seems as a simple story to start with, a clash between two civilizations, but I think it's going to be more than just that. And that was especially hinted at in Queen of Scorn versus the earlier books.
Things definitely opened up with the story. We get new characters, and then just even still with like the gods, you have both sides kind of, they're praying for their gods, or looking for their guidance and that type of thing, and everybody thinks they're getting it, is what I felt like.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder, how is this going to work, because something's going to have to break at some point, and who is it going to be? And I don't right now, I don't really know.
Uh, I think one of the most salient aspects of the series is how you can't really say this side is wrong or this side is right, even though you may have some preferences on who you want to win or to win, because nobody wins in war. But let's say who comes on top. And I have my darlings. I prefer the North. I like the way the story is going for them. Not everything is looking like they're winning, but they're giving a goddamn good fight against an imperial force, something that is trampling on all the continent. On the continent, Druidia, the Druidians are under their heels. The Udor, the Vikings, the Navy nation. I don't remember
The
the
Ubnari.
faction. Yeah, the
From Mott.
yes, they also kind of live in fear beyond being pirates. They're pirates, but they can't really go and live a fully free life. So I have my dollars, but you can't really say they're right or they're wrong.
I would agree. I'm not really sure who I'm rooting for at this point myself. It's just kind of like I'm a fly on the wall taking this all in and just seeing where it goes.
They're all assholes.
Yeah, there were definitely some moments. Go ahead, yeah.
At some point, they've all been assholes. It's like the Betanthians have been assholes towards the north, and they've been assholes back again. And then the Udani and they all have at points in their history done awful things.
Yeah.
And it's not more that which for one side is better. It's like it's more that you feel more connected to single individuals than one side or the other.
Yeah.
Well, let's should we start going through these characters? Talking about them. We don't need
Sure,
to
let's
go in
go.
order or anything. Andres, I know you've got some limited time here. If there's some favorites you would like to hit to make sure we get them in, where do you want to start?
I think it's fair to start with Madeline. I think her journey it's remarkable in the pathos in her arc in her story that hints a lot of what might happen in the following books. I I love the fact that she lives and breathes her vengeance, but also her doubts, her internal struggles of the path she's taking, and I think that is so very important for a book, for a series of this size, of this style, of this spirit, because it's not just grim and dark because uh, you have to categorize it, but because of what really happens there, it's grim because it tortures your soul. It twists your perceptions of what is right and wrong, and you have to question yourself at every moment, at every step of the way. And then on top of that, she gets mm, world-breaking powers. So what do you do with that? All of that power while also fighting yourself and your inner demons and your struggles and all that. So I think Madeline's arc, and it's the most compelling one.
I think also the doubt that she shows about what she's doing and the thought of the child that she's left behind, it makes her more than a one-dimensional character that is just out for vengeance and the blood of my enemies. And also she is also being forced to it. The god is forcing her to continue on her quest for vengeance against her own will at one point. And she could return also to Gareth, her love, but she chooses to go for vengeance instead.
I like the I guess the kind of balance that she brings, because yes, she does. You know, we've got that revenge arc going for sure, but then there was that softness that we get where when she does, you know, she has this conversation with her child, right? Um, that was Madeline, right? I'm not mistaking
Yeah,
mixing up
yeah, yeah.
characters. Okay, uh, where you know her daughter says, you know, I didn't choose to be brought into a world like this either. Like I still have to live with what's become of me. You know how all this has affected her too, and you can tell that Madeline really didn't think about that at first, and then she has that moment of realization, like, okay, this is bigger than myself, and I really like that.
And also that meeting with the daughter, it brings up a larger theme of a cycle of blood. Because what she
Yeah,
does, what she was abandoned, and she's in this becomes a warrior and is engaged in bloodlust. and then the sins of her are passed on to her daughter, and the vision, the daughter goes into battle as well. And it's just a continual cycle of blood feuds, which I think is also reflects the larger story arc of the books.
Yeah, it's like the macrocosmos of the world lives in her own story. What she's passing down to her daughter, being abandoned and living for blood and vengeance is the only way.
Definitely, it opens your eyes, and that I I will say I think in this book, all the female characters were probably my favorite characters. Um, out of the three of them, I would say, like personally, I would rank Madeline third out of the three that we've got. I just like the other two much more, but she still was a very good character in this book, and I wonder if she's gonna get the revenge that she wants, or I'm really curious how things will play out for her going forward.
I'm not sure about getting the revenge she wants, but I hope she gets closure at least on her, because vengeance for her, it's such a, a magnitude of vengeance she has to enact. She has to enact vengeance on the Order. She had to enact vengeance on Damon Redfire. Uh, and I have no doubts that she has reasons to enact vengeance on the Bethantians. And about that theory we spoke about that we don't want to spoil for others. So I think there's a lot of, and she has world ending powers. So imagine her vengeance on that scale. So I hope for closure more than anything else, because if she accomplishes all the vengeances she has to, the world is over. It's game over.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I hope she. That's a good way to put it. I think closure is probably the correct word for it. Jan,
I
anything else?
think. Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, Andres.
No. I think about the three female points of view we get. I do rank her higher than Sylvia and Lucetta. I do love Lucetta's descent into madness from a reader point of view. As a reader, I think the insight Chris puts into that descent into madness is incredible, because you can feel every bit of madness that is consuming Lucetta. So I do rank Madeline higher than the others because of the whole complexity of it. But as a reader, from a reader point of view, I think Lucetta is incredibly compelling to be read.
I would agree. I don't know if Jan will. Jan was not a fan, but is that who we should move to next then?
Well, before we do, also another thing, just some of the Madeline is kick-ass. Just some of the action scenes, very well written and bloody action scenes.
Yeah, especially early on. Well, I think if I'm remembering right, the prologue, right? She was in the fields,
Prologue,
just
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And also in the tavern.
In the tavern, the scene of the tavern was incredibly badass.
I'm drawing a blank on that one right now.
She basically kills everybody in a tavern.
She basically clears the tavern.
Okay. I kind of remember that. I wonder if I'm maybe thinking, because I read In the Shadow of Their Dying not too long ago, and there was a tavern scene in that book as well. So
the dripping bucket.
Yeah.
you know the story of the dripping bucket?
I know Fletcher puts it in his books. Right?
No, not just him. It's been a running joke among some authors that they will have a tavern or a bar called the Dripping Bucket. So I found it in, I think about 7 or 8 different authors. All
Okay.
from like urban fantasy to cozy fantasy and just very different authors.
Sure. Okay. I didn't know there was that many doing it, I guess.
And I'm sure there's more that I haven't found yet as well. So a lot of indie authors use the Dripping Bucket. So I was thinking it would be funny to actually write a book like called The Dripping Bucket, and it's all the same place, and it travels from story to story.
Yeah, that's a very cool concept. I would definitely read. Imagine an anthology with that concept.
Yeah.
You
That's a
can you
good
can
idea.
pick up a lot of authors and present the concept. I think many would sign up for that.
That would be fun. Well, should we move to Lucetta?
The bitch.
Yeah,
Let's-
I, I hate the character. I love to read her.
Okay, it's a good character to read, but I hate her so much. I truly hate her. I just see her as this pampered woman who's just destroying everything around her, just because of her own wants and needs.
She is a child. She is basically an emotional child, a child emotionally that has zero control of her emotions, even though she claims to be incredibly politically savvy and above everyone else. She's basically a child. She has wants and needs, and she needs them served immediately, and she will destroy anyone and everything that refuses to provide that to her.
she's like a slow moving train crash. You can't help but watch it, right? And but to me,
Yeah,
she's really compelling just with this descent into madness is something that just fascinates me.
yeah.
I don't want to say it's like a path I want to go down, but just like the feelings that I get, it just makes me question so much of what is going on with her and this the black shadow or whatever you want to call it that's sometimes there, sometimes not, is probably one of the most like fascinating things I've read, and I want to know so badly what it is, and I've been like I've thought so hard on it, and part of it makes me wonder. Like there's a few different things that have been floating around in my head in regards to that, and one of them that came in this book was I wonder if there is not some tie to Madeline, and you and I talked about that a little bit, Andres.
Yeah.
Um, but then I've at times I've also wondered, is Lucetta, is she even really like alive, or is this some sort of like the last seconds of life playing before her eyes, like what she like wanted to happen, or something like that, and um, I mentioned that to Chris, and he thought that was interesting. So I don't know if I'm onto something or not with that, but
Yeah.
I just, man, I want to know. And all he told me is there will be a lot more revealed in the next book, which doesn't tell me a lot, but gives me hope that to want to keep reading. But I mean, she's not a nice person. She does terrible things all over.
She kills her mother,
She kills her mother, kills her another
brother,
person. Yeah, brother. Her
the
kills her guards.
the
Like
valet, yeah,
the
the
torch.
valet, the guards. Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty brutal, but it's just like that train of thought that she has just fascinates me so much, and I think it's
And she
draws me
and
in.
she leads and she leads the charge against the peasants, the civilians, when they were trying to get to her mother's body. She leads the charge. She basically kills a lot of civilians because so. But as I said, she is incredible, an incredible character where you can delve into that descent to explore some of those thoughts on yourself. She's an incredible mirror character for one to understand one's needs and the emotions attached to those things, and what do we do to get to our wants and needs. Of course, she is an extreme case of that, but as a mirror, she works perfectly in that sense for us readers.
Originally, when the Black Shadow first started showing up, I thought it was just a manifestation of her madness. And it wasn't well until the second book, for like halfway through the second book, I think, is you start to like, oh no, this isn't our imagination. This is something real.
Yeah,
Yeah,
things
I
are
had the same
happening,
thought.
right? Yeah. It's,
Yeah, I had the same thought as Jan.
and
And
I'm
that's
sure that's
credit.
intentional.
That's credit to Chris, and 100%. Yes, I agree. That's credit to the writer, because he wrote it in such a way that you have to question the reality of that, because that at that point the world is low magic or no magic mostly. So you have to
Yeah,
question that. But once you start to deep into Madeline's powers, into the world, the gods, and all of that, there is something there. It is real.
I'm very curious to see where it goes, and that'll be, one of the things I'm looking forward to most in the next book.
But we got a large hint of what the Black Shadow is in this book, and that was the scene of the hanging.
Yes,
So I'm guessing that the Black Shadow is some person in the Byzantian's history that was done wrong by. That was possibly an earlier queen that was hanged wrongfully, and she's come back to try and destroy the Byzantine Empire through corrupting Lucetta.
that's an
So
interesting theory. I have
I,
a very different take about the black woman. I don't think I can explain it without spoiling a lot of things of the thought process I have regarding that. I think she's related to one character we have access at the moment. Let's keep it at that.
okay, I think you and I are along the same line of thought on this. Um, I'm trying to think back to that scene, Jan, and maybe either one of you will remember. Was there much description of the woman being hanged?
A vague description, not much of one.
Because the one thing that
Possibly
kept
short dark hair.
right, and I that came up a number of times throughout the book, and
I think
it
kind of
makes
thinking
me
twice.
really wonder how like Madeline is involved. I think like that's my personal feeling is somehow they're connected. I don't know how to make the time work on it. I don't know how it plays out exactly, but I think there's some connection between the two.
Yeah,
Uh, but
but
the black lady, the Black Shadow could also be what is giving Madeline her powers.
And I've
that's
wondered
also a
that.
possibility. Yeah, I I I think it's more related to Madeline and her powers in a more direct way, but in another point of time. That's how I envision that relationship. It's a shadow sent from another point of time to affect that point of time to create a ripple effect to provoke, to cause or accelerate the downfall of the Byzantine Empire. That's how I see it. I should explain it bigger, but I feel I would spoil a lot of Queen of Scorn.
No, I think I think you gave a lot there. I mean, we've read the book, so I mean, hopefully, if people listening to this have also read it, and they'll pick up some of these
otherwise,
things.
Otherwise they don't really won't understand much at all.
True. Well, should we round out with Sylvia? Close out the female cast here, or at least this part of it, or do we want to talk about somebody else first?
No, we can do Sylvia.
All right.
Go ahead, Jan.
Yeah, I feel she became a more interesting character. She took a larger role in this book than previous books. She became more spiritual, not just a warrior woman.
Yeah.
I especially like the part where she met the tree planter.
Oh yeah, that was neat.
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting aspects of Sylvia is that we get to see that more spiritual aspect of her, because we do get her described as very spiritual in the previous books. She not at the level of the fishermen, but very spiritual nonetheless, with their mushrooms and their rituals and whatnot. But now, as we get more scenes from Sylvia, and before we get to witness that spiritual side more directly, especially when they get to the mountain, when she gets those specially powered mushrooms.
Yeah.
I think it was very interesting to see that spiritual side of her.
I agree with you.
She's become more of a believer, especially in Einar.
Yeah, especially in Einar. Yeah.
His visions and what they found has strengthened her faith.
Well, and with what she goes through, how could she not be a believer now? I'll say that in this book, she was my favorite character. Overall, I still like Lucetta's character arc, like where that story that fascinates me more. But I think Sylvie was, for me, the best character in this book. Tons of great moments. You know, there. I'll probably butcher this name, but more vulgar. When her and Damien go to the mountain, they get ruined. They fight Cugvord. She takes the mushrooms that she gets, the magic mushrooms, and right before this battle, which like to me just seems so wild. Like if I'm gonna probably die, well, I guess I don't know. Maybe you take mushrooms and then you don't really care as much. You're just kind of in a different plane, I guess. But if I was thinking I wanted to survive, I don't know that I'd be taking magic mushrooms before I went and fought with a sword. But
well, that's what the berserkers used to do.
Yeah.
They used to take magic mushrooms before going into battle. You can still find them here in Norway. Just walk around and pick them in nature.
Which is just crazy to me, but I mean, hey, whatever works. But then she is also our eyes to Damien for a lot of this story, because we don't have a POV from him. We don't really get in his head. She is with him for a good chunk of the book. And go ahead.
I think that's very interesting, because in previous books we had Einar as our eyes in Damien, and his character was very, very interesting in the previous books because of that, because he was our eyes on Damien. And now, as Sylvia is our eyes on Damien, she takes on a more predominant role, and we get to, I don't know, perhaps enjoy more of her character and see more and perhaps empathize more with her. So she takes Einar's role as our eyes on Damien, and that elevates her in our eyes because, in a sense, Damien's shadow takes over everything in the story. His charisma, his force of personality, uh, it's it's what has created this story. And it's the Hellborn King, after all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
his presence.
who's the Hellborn King? Gareth or Dreadfire?
For me, it's clear that it's Damien.
It could be Gareth
It
by the
could
end
be
of
Gareth.
by the end of the books.
I think Gareth will meet his end soon. I think that is one of the things that will cause Madeline to shift and try to shift. I don't know if shift is the right word because she will wreck everyone in her path, but I think I have envisioned Gareth dying of of a knife in the back by a Bethantian, and that will cause Madeline to go mad and try to wreck Bethantia because of that.
Okay, I can definitely get on board with that, and then that could lead to hanging potentially. Interesting.
Another thing about viewing Dreadfire through Sylvia is that it's possible you also get to see a little bit more vulnerable side of Dreadfire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he was as. I mean, he definitely had moments where he was stern with her, but I don't think he was as harsh where he would have been with like Einar or just another male. Basically, I think he probably softened it a little bit for Sylvia, but definitely times he was still like, hey, we're doing this, like get on board or I'm leaving you behind. So he wasn't completely soft on her, but maybe a little bit more.
I
No,
think
but
he know.
no, sorry,
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Jan.
No,
I think it's fast. I think Damien knows that he can question her devotion to him or the cause. So that's why he doesn't need to be as harsh as he has to be with others to get them on board.
Yeah, but it's also in this book you see Damien also injured and reduced and more vulnerable, and I don't think he's been that in previous books.
No, I don't think so. At least not in the capacity that he was in this, because he was hurt for a pretty good chunk of this book, and maybe he still was even towards the end. But uh, it was different getting that vulnerable side to him when he's always
Mm-hmm.
been just that hard ass, like he's just rigid, and you knew what he was. There was no deviating from his path, and this, I definitely had some doubts with Damien at times, with him being injured. Was How is he going to handle it? I wasn't sure if he was going to make it or not. Quite honestly, I thought, well, man, what is he going to die off in this book? Is he going to get killed off? That would be something. I wasn't really sure what I thought.
Yeah, I think that that's part of Chris's skill in writing because you don't feel that I, I wouldn't call it plot armor, but that kind of writing that leads you on to know that a character will make it. I think his skill in writing leaves you hanging. You, as you said, you don't know if Damien will really make it to the end, and that's part of Chris's skill.
Yes, and I feel like this story, nobody is safe, right? I mean, I think anybody could probably be killed off at any time, and I shouldn't be surprised that it happens. Maybe I'll just be more surprised how it happens, how it plays out, but not that it actually happened.
Some of them
Yeah.
should be killed.
Come on, Jan.
I know Titan is a favorite of a lot of people. If he were to be killed, I wouldn't mind one bit. I think he's an interesting character, but he's a musclehead, and I don't see a lot of depth in him beyond trying to do good by Madeline.
He had a smaller role in this book than previous books.
Yeah.
He was just following along in the Byzantine army.
Right. Yeah, I didn't have a lot to say about him in this particular book. It was just kind of I don't want to say more of the same from him, but that's kind of what it was. I I think he's kind of that roguish character that I like and I'll get attached to, and if he died, I'd be bummed out about it. But just the life he lives and the rules he lives by, like I wouldn't be shocked. But
yeah,
this one, yeah, he wasn't really too much of a player throughout the story. I mean, he definitely helps out in the end of the book, but uh, not a lot of, I guess, his arc of the story, I guess, wasn't very pronounced right now.
He had this big moment in the battle at the end.
Yeah. He prevented
Cool.
the routing of the Byzantine army. His actions.
Yeah, he was kind of I'm not sure the word I'm looking for, but just he kind of rallied everybody to keep pushing, and
he strengthened the lines.
Yeah. So I mean, he had his purpose there, but
and he fought the huge ass monster.
Right? Yeah, that'd be kind of the big one.
That counts for something. Yeah. I think Einar, it's a more interesting character in this book than he was in the previous book. Just he inverted a role to Titan in that sense. Titan was a much more interesting character before, and now it's Einar's turn to be a more forefront character.
Man, Einar, I liked him in the first two books quite a bit, and then just his actions in this book really. It's weird to say that's what left a sour taste in my mouth, because there's plenty of equally distasteful things that happen in this book, but I don't know. I don't trust that guy at all now. I do not trust him. I don't know that I like him a whole lot. I struggled with him a lot.
He slaughtered an innocent village for the cause. How can you not like him?
Wow.
But but it's like, it's strange to think he's always been, as I've seen him, he's always been like a good and kind character, a good person. Yeah. But he also built the huge catapult trebuchet that destroyed the castle. So even though he seems to be a good person, his actions can create great harm and disaster.
Yeah, I think one interesting point of Einar, it's how he was a warrior and everything, but now that he's more direct contact with the gods, it feels like he's got tainted, and he will do more direct harm, more dark things. So I
Diabolical.
wonder if, yeah, I wonder if that is um, a direct relationship because of being an envoy of the gods. It's like he's a pawn. He was a pawn that was crowned a queen, and how he can he now moves throughout the board like a queen instead of just forward like he did before. Speaking in chess terms,
He's powered up.
yeah, he got insight from the gods. He's got visions. So in a sense, he's a queen, but he remains a pawn. But now it's a pawn of the gods.
We'll see how it works out for him. I'm curious to where it goes, but like I said, I can't trust the guy. But the one thing I will say about him, I don't know how you guys have felt reading this series, but a lot of times when I'm like reading things as they're described, I can see that, which is true in this series as well. But for whatever reason, in my mind, the color of things has not been there at all, except for in Einar's chapter in the Wrathbringer, where he like meets the gods and has his journey. Like that was very vivid to me. But everything else, as I've read through this story, has just been very gray. And I'm not like
Yeah,
it doesn't
I
mean
was
it's a
thinking
bad thing or anything like that. I just haven't been able to visualize that color for whatever reason. I don't know why it's this series. I don't know what it is about Chris's writing that does that, but it's very interesting to me that that is how I perceive it. And I don't know if you guys have felt similarly.
I can see a lot of that, yes, but I, I have more scenes where I can see the splash of color that you described, like when Einar got touched by the gods. I think the battle with at the end. I don't want to spoil. It's a very red, very vivid red scene moment,
Sure.
and I think the Lucetta chapters, especially the last ones, are very, 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 very black, very dark. So I'm speaking in color terms, right? Yeah. And I think the Droidian um, governor chapters are a different type of gray than the rest. It's like a pale white or an off-white color more than gray. The Druidian governor. I don't remember his name.
Alexius.
Yes, our
Alexius.
Greek. Alexius, our Greek governor.
Yeah,
He's an off-white.
I think he hasn't been there's he was the only one that didn't feel like there was some sort of like corruption there. To me, it seems like they just want to basically be left alone. They want to just live their lives, be safe, prosper, all that type of stuff. And now they're getting drug into it. Um,
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find out in a later book that they previously had murdered half of the Byzantines or whatever.
they probably have a dark past too, just like everybody else.
Yeah,
I want
they're
to say,
all assholes.
I want to say that I found very, very interesting the way Chris sneaked social commentary of our world into that part of the continent. I really liked it. I don't want to start an argument about politics, but I found it very interesting because in all of the previous parts of the other books and whatever, we didn't really found that. But in that particular corner of the world, you can read the social commentary.
I don't know if I picked up on that, to be perfectly honest. Interesting.
I can DM to you after we finish here what
Sure.
I read there.
Sure. I'd be very interested in that. Yeah.
You're thinking about the council meeting?
No, I am thinking more about the whole situation of the Byzantine army laying siege on the Thracian province. It's a very, it doesn't require much. You have to think about what's going on in the world right now about laying siege to places.
Right.
It
Yeah.
doesn't. There are phrases there that lays it out very clearly what he is commenting about.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely send that my way once we're done, for sure.
I did. I loved that part. I'm getting goosebumps remembering that.
With Alexius.
Yes, with I am a reader who I love a dystopian story. I love dystopian stories. I love things that you can read as they are, or you can read and understand what they are referring to and what they are commenting on as criticisms of or commentary of the world of the human condition, stuff like that. I'm a reader that tends to go to read very many different levels of the same thing. And you can read the things as they are. You can read 300 pages or you can read and delve deeper in what the books are talking about. And in this particular commentary, I have to give huge props to Chris because it takes some guts to make that commentary in our world is the way they are.
Sometimes you gotta take those shots.
100%. I have to bail people. I have stuff that depends on me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
It's
Thanks
been
for
an hour. Pleasure
thanks for
was
giving
all
us some
mine.
time you had here. I'm glad you're able to make it in for a while, and yeah, I would love to do this again with you sometime. But it was nice to meet you
Yeah,
face to
sure.
face here through a computer screen for the first time.
Likewise. Jan, a pleasure. Hope
Pleasure.
we'll have more times like this.
Indeed.
Take
Take
care,
care,
Andres. Bye.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.
I think we got through just about everybody with Andres there.
Oh no, we missed Udon.
Udorn and Gareth was. And we talked about Gareth a little bit, but where do you want to go next here, Udorn or Gareth?
I think we just a little bit more about Lexius because
Sure.
I actually really it was a new part of the world, and I liked him as a character, as a besieged noble figure with a family he cares about and a city he cares about. Trying to be honorable and do the right thing for his people.
Yeah, it was right at, I don't remember which chapter of his it was, but right at the end where he sends his family away was a pretty touching moment, which we don't get a lot of those pure moments in this series where it's just, and even that I don't want to say it's good. He's sending his family away, but he wants them to be safe. You know, he wants to take care of them. He doesn't want something to happen to them, but he's
And it's a difficult choice for him.
yeah, yeah. I mean, as I'm sure it would be for anybody, right? Like you have to stay in danger. or and send your family away, and you don't know what's going to happen. But it seems like, like you said, unless the next book we get some more background information that they just slaughtered every kitten on the continent, or something like that. They seem to be the best people so far, but we just
that
don't
we've
really
met.
know
Yeah,
anything. We don't know
we
much
don't
about
know.
them,
Yeah.
so it's
All we know really is that they've been under siege by the Byzantines, and that they've destroyed large parts of their city and their fields.
yes, yeah.
So I'm hoping we get to see even more of that of them in the next books, and especially if they're going to be brought into the war now because of Einar's uh, deceit.
Man, it just rubs me the wrong way, and I know they're taking them back to be questioned and everything, but uh, I don't know. Just the way that he facilitated all that just sits wrong with me. It is not a good way to build a foundation, I don't think.
No, he
And
could have just approached them and said like, "Hey, we both have this problem," but instead, like, "No, I'm just going to kill this village of people, blame it on these guys, and they'll join the war."
you're right. And what if it doesn't work out that way? Then you're just shit out of luck. But I mean, so far it looks like it's probably going to work out for him, and we'll see what happens. But
Hmm. And here's the question: Do the means does the cause justify the means used to reach the goal?
I mean, it's. I would like to say no, but in this it's such a brutal world. Like, I makes me wonder, like, well, could they have just all these villagers just died a worse death than they did some other way? If things reached them a different way, maybe
Oh
they
no,
got
they
to
would
live
have
a
put
little bit
they would
longer.
have lived
Who
a
knows?
perfect life in their little village if Einar hadn't come along. They would have been happy and lived until like 90 and
No, then no. The ends don't justify the means.
yeah, and yeah, the other new character was Udorn
Yeah.
because we haven't had him in earlier books, have we? No.
No, and Andres said that he thought they showed up like in the epilogue of book 2, which I don't remember. I will trust that he was probably right on that. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
know if
there's
we
a
got him.
short there was a short bit about them in the longhouses, not much, but not about specifically him.
So we get just a very brief introduction, but yeah. So
Mm.
these, uh, I mean, so do I'm curious on your take on the Ubneri. You got like the northern tribes, and then you have Udorn and his people. Which which seems to be more Viking like, do you think?
The udon.
Okay. That's kind of what I
Ma
thought.
Yeah, mainly because of the ships and the strikes and pillaging.
So what is your take on the character, the people, just with where you live, your heritage and all that? I'd be curious to your perspective on that.
I think they're assholes.
Fair. I mean, they are. I mean, it,
No,
Udorn
it's
kills a
it's the
kills a
old
kid right in front of the parents, so I mean, it's not great.
yeah, it's all this rape and pillage and the best to die in battle, and they're not good people. They're not nice people. Udon in his struggle against the war chief, what's his name?
Rodruk,
Yeah,
however you
that's sort of like an honorable tale because the war chief is an even bigger asshole. Um, and you so like you're supporting Udon in that struggle, but what he's doing is still not a good thing. They're attacking like villages and outposts and just killing everyone for what they can find.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're a pretty rough group for sure. Uh, they would rather. It almost seems like there's a little bit of like Spartan in them as well. Where come back on your shield or don't come back at all type mentality.
Hmm.
But I do. Udorn does some pretty terrible things. Again, like he killed a little girl in front of her parents because they were being held hostage. And like I've got kids, you've got kids. Like and I don't think anybody's going to be like, yeah, that was fine. But aside from that, I still feel like he's got some redeeming qualities to him. Him standing up to the war chief, like he doesn't want to just send his men to die for, war chief says we'll die gloriously. I kind of feel like he's not buying into that just senseless death at that point.
No, he
Um,
wants to return to his kids. So
right.
they're well written characters, and it's fun to read them. But they are still bad people. But he's less bad than the others.
Yeah. Yes, I will agree with that. Yeah. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's interesting. I wasn't expecting the brutality that we saw out of them, but yeah, I'm not sure. Just with how their story left off, I'm wondering what's going to happen because was the war chief telling the truth to Udorn at the end or
Yeah, that's
not?
the thing.
I'm not entirely sure.
I think Udon underestimated the war chief because suddenly in the epilogue, the city of Delhaven is surrounded on three sides. There's more shit coming in from the sea, and there's another army coming from the other side. So suddenly there's this siege on three sides on the city. So the war chief actually managed to organize things pretty well. He wasn't just throwing his people against the wall to die needlessly because he knew the others were coming as well. But
Or
he
so he
didn't really.
tells us. I
Also,
don't know that I'm convinced that's who is showing up. I know we were told that the other city isn't coming to the defense of Delhaven, but there's a little bit of I've got a little bit of doubt that it is more of the war chief's people. It very well could be. It feels like it could be, but there's that little bit of me that wonders, is this somebody else?
but also he didn't really need to send people up against the wall when he saw that they couldn't get over. They could just stand outside the walls and keeping the people penned in the city and wait until the ships and the army came, if it is his people.
Yeah, he was making his point to Udorn, I guess. Well, he wanted to kill him off, really, but
Hmm.
Udorn Udorn had different plans. He didn't want to die, which, I mean, fair. I get that. I wouldn't want to either, especially that way. So
Hmm. So no, it's fun to read the characters with these uh, codes that die in battle and all that. But yeah, they are assholes.
they are, yeah.
And what I'm wondering is, um, what does this mean for the greater story? If they destroy Delhaven and Britannia, Betanthia is even more weakened? Does Lucetta go to war against the people, or do they start moving towards Cardale, or do they just sack Delhaven and return home with the gold, and then they're out of the story?
I mean, do you think if they're able to, if they're victorious at Delhaven, do you think that they just make that their new stronghold?
That's not their style. They tend to attack and then leave.
But I imagine Delhaven is probably a little nicer than where they come from, right?
Yeah, but they wouldn't see it as their home.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know if they, they just torch it to the ground, and that type of people, that where are they going to go next? Yeah, like you said, like, are they just going to be satisfied with that? I kind of doubt it. Like, then what's the next target? I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts to this story. And it really expanded in this book. It grew quite a bit, and I'm not sure in in two more books here, how do you bring these back in and narrow it back down and end this? I'm not sure right now.
Yeah, and like I said to you, for some strange reason, I don't know why, I thought it was the third and final book, and I was like halfway or 2/3 of the way through it, and I was like, how the fuck is he going to manage to pull all this together?
Yeah, at least, yeah. And I did ask him, so there's going to be at least two more. He didn't say if it would go more than that, but I asked if it was five, and he said yes. Chris said yes. So, I mean, I guess if he feels the need for another book, that could always be a possibility if things just grow, which, as you write a book, I'm sure can happen. You got to figure out how to bring it all back in. And yeah, this story, to me, from the first two books, it grew a ton, which it was a lot of fun to read, and I'm just excited to see where it goes. And uh, I don't know how long it'll be till we get the next book, but not going to be soon enough.
I hope it's not 2.5 years.
I mean, if that's what it takes, though, to get what he's comfortable with, I would rather that than he rushes to do something that he's not happy with.
Yeah,
So
of course.
I've got a lot of other stuff I can read too, but this is a series that I found that I like quite a bit, and I mean, you've read a lot more than I have, but this is probably one of the bloodiest, nastiest things I've read, and it's just sometimes you have an itch for that type of thing, and for me, it definitely scratches that itch.
Yeah, that it does. You should try reading more of Michael R. Fletcher.
I've got a couple of his books, so I'll
Mm.
get there. Just it's all on the list.
I've actually read all of his books now. I think no, I'm missing one book that I haven't read yet.
Yeah, I've got the books the Kickstarters he's been doing.
Oh yeah, the Obsidian Path.
Yeah, I've got. Well, I think only the first one showed up. I don't think the second one has yet, but yeah, that's where that's at. So I've got those.
Yeah, no, I've read those. They're good. I got the first Kickstarter book, and I ordered the second.
Nice. Yeah, they look cool as hell.
Mm.
Well, anything else to say on the Queen of Scorn?
Yes. One thing I found quite fascinating was the ancient stories of the North people that they discovered in the mountains when they were looking for ruin.
Go on.
So, no, it just hinted at a much larger history behind the North people that they didn't really know or remember. so that their civilization most likely was even older and larger than they had believed, and that history had been hidden from them, potentially by the Byzantines.
Yeah. Yes, that was interesting, and I did like that. And I wish we could have had a little more time with that, but I understand. I mean, with the story and what was happening, it didn't really work out that way, or it would have been hard to work out that way. But it's to me that almost felt like, oh, I'm exploring a dungeon in like Skyrim. Let me go look at everything. Well, I guess I can't because I've got this giant monster that wants to, cut my head off. So I've got to deal with that for now instead. But yeah, there was a lot there, and it was pretty cool. So yeah, I wonder if we will get more on that. But I agree, just the the expansion of the lore there, like you said, just that it's way older was pretty neat.
And I think that we are going to return to that at some point. And I think it's part of the larger story that a lot of the history of the different empires has been hidden, and it's who is um, uh, um, uh, oh, what's the word? Manipulating the empires, and that's where the gods come in. What are the gods up to?
Yeah, I wonder how they're gonna play with each other in a sense, right? I mean, I I have zero idea what will actually play out.
I think to me it feels like the gods are manipulating the civilizations and the people to continue this endless cycle of blood. And if it's just for amusement or some other purpose, I don't know. But that's the feeling I get.
And that would be pretty dark if that's what it turned out to be, if it was just for their amusement, if there was no real purpose. I might have kind of a hard time dealing with that if that's what it was. But I
Uh,
mean, I don't think it would be unrealistic though.
Gods can be assholes too.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how big of assholes they can be.
Yeah. No, it's I think it was a good book, and it's more than the others. It's opened up to the world and made it even larger, and the story larger. The scope has increased, and what we're still getting like the small hints that there are larger things behind what's going on.
I think that was one of my favorite aspects of it, that it did open up like that, give us that bigger picture. And I don't know what, now he's basically on the downhill, right? He's got to end this thing. So I don't know how much more he could open it up and leave himself time to wrap everything up. But I'm excited to see where it goes and what happens next, whatever it is.
According to the map, I don't think there's any more peoples he can visit. Uh, well, he hasn't really been to Lhasa, Aret, or Cornopia, which are beyond the Alexius and Naxos. So that part of the world hasn't really been touched. But apart from that, they've been to
I
nearly
think
all the other parts.
Alexia sent his family to Larsa, if I remember correct.
Yeah, that's the capital of that area, but we haven't been there.
Sure, sure. So yeah, maybe we'll see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to live in that world.
No, no, I wouldn't either. Life expectancy seems short.
Mm.
Harsh life, harsh living conditions. Unless you could just give me mushrooms all the time, then maybe that would be about the only way.
But fun to read. Fun to read and
Very
think that thank God I don't live there.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that. Well, anything else? Any other thoughts on this, or maybe we'll about wrap this up here?
I think we touched upon most things. Yeah, just the main thing is where's the story heading? What's the final end? Is it going to be like the destruction of Betanthian, or is the struggle between them and the Norse people just part of a bigger game?
I don't know. I don't know if one side is gonna, destroy the other, or if it's gonna be some mutually assured destruction, or like you said, I don't know. You could flip a coin and go either way, and I wouldn't think you were wrong.
And we didn't really get to see the sword ruin in action.
Not a lot.
No, he
It was
didn't use ruin.
Well, he stabbed it into the ground, and then the Colossus or whatever you want to call it came out.
No, he put it aside, but it wasn't the sword ruin that raised the Colossus. Those were from the bones and the ashes of the old king.
Right. Yeah. I thought he just, well, I guess maybe he just planted it in the ground then, but yeah. I wonder if we'll really get to see it. I wonder if because we get these hints, everybody seems to be very nervous around it.
Yeah, I believe it exudes evil.
And I'm curious, like, does it take your soul? Like, if you get killed by it, does it take your soul? Is it kind of like you know, I wonder how similar to like Dragnipur it is.
Yeah, if I was going to think of another fantasy sword, that's one similarity. It steals the souls of its victors.
Yeah, but I like that it would glow red, and I thought that was neat. And yeah, like you said, it kind of exuded violence, and they had to cover it up to keep people feeling better. So yeah, it was neat.
And then also, when they went to kill the old king and find ruin, there have been battles between the North people and Britannia before.
Oh yeah, just I mean going back throughout their history and stuff.
Hmm. It's also quite interesting that it was the attack that where Dread uh, oh, Damien's Dreadfear, where his family was killed, was the same attack where Gareth's father was injured that led to his madness and um, uh, fall.
I don't remember if I picked up on that.
I think it was when Dreadfear was telling his tale to Sylvia. You find out that he was the old king was stabbed during that battle or attack.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not remembering that right now. Speaking of ruin again, though, I thought it was cool that it could change forms to some extent.
Hmm.
Like it would become like I think it kind of became like a spear uh, a little bit. That was cool that he could kind of bend it to whatever he needed at that time.
And it's a gift from the gods. I should always be careful about gifts from gods.
I'm sure there's some uh, conditions attached to that, right?
Hmm.
We'll
Yeah,
see
I
how that
wouldn't
turns
trust
out
it.
for Damien. Yeah, but I mean, I guess he doesn't have a lot of choice right now, so he's gonna have to just still deal with the rest later. I guess he's got the sword. That's the important part. We'll figure out the rest later.
Mm. Yeah, now it'd be interesting to see in the next book if they actually start the battle again, or if the
I think they're.
forces like withdraw a bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I I could see the next book being a pretty big bloodbath. And then the last book, maybe you're just kind of picking up the pieces, and whoever's left is rebuilding. I don't know. I'm not sure. That's kind of what it feels like to me right now, anyways. But when the time is right, we will find out.
Yeah. The orders to kill Gareth that came from Cardale, they came from Lucetta, didn't they?
I don't know.
Because I can't remember who it was, but someone admitted to Gareth that the orders to stab him in the back, those orders came from Cardale. And like the question is, who else could it have been? Who else could those orders have come from?
I'm not sure.
So it's not from the king because he's mad.
Maybe you're right.
I think so, but I'm not quite sure.
You got me stumped right now on that. So I don't know.
Maybe we'll find out in the next book.
I'm sure we're going to get probably plenty of answers.
But no, good book. Look forward to see where it's going.
Me too.
Have you
Gonna
read
have to.
Have you read the Servitor of Sin as well?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I've read all his stuff. So yeah, I will be waiting patiently. And in the meantime, I'll just be reading other stuff, and eventually I'll revisit, when the time is right.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I imagine, whenever the next book comes out, I'll be, prepared to stop whatever else I'm reading to pick it up. So, or, I'll make sure I finish whatever else I'm reading at that point before it comes out so I can just get right into it when it shows up.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I went quite quickly when to read it when I first picked it up. Apart from that, I had a few days break between before I finished the last 50 pages.
Yeah, I definitely made a push to get through this. We're going on vacation here pretty quick, and I wanted to finish this book, and I wanted to get this done just so I didn't have that break in vacation there, and I'm not remembering as much, and so I wanted to try and get it done before then, and you know now it's another episode in the bank, so it'll probably be, I don't know, it'll probably be a month or better before this comes out, but whenever it comes out, it'll be there. So
Hmm.
now we got to get
Cool.
back to Malzahn.
I finished. I finished No Life Forsaken last night. Oh, damn it! It's just so good. And I was reading it, and I recently picked up Fall of Light again because Smiley's had suddenly started releasing episodes again. So I picked that up again because I was reading along with them. They were doing chapter by chapter, and they had like a 1 year break. And I was reading No Life Forsaken, and then suddenly this character pops up, and I'm like, oh my God, I just read about him in Fall of Light.
Oh, nice. That's pretty cool.
This tiny character, like in like he's only in like maybe 30 pages in Fall of Light, and it's like, he's back.
Well, that's cool. Well, I think we'll wrap this. I'll hit the stop record here button, and then I've got a few minutes here yet, but I hope everybody enjoyed this. Chris, I know you'll listen to this when it's done. Hopefully we did it justice for you. You had 3 different people around the world here talking for a little while, which is kind of cool. So all different time zones, hemispheres, about as distant around the world as we could get. So it was pretty neat. Had a good time talking about your book, and thank you. And looking forward to the next one.